How's it going, you guys? It's Scott with Everyday Solar. Today I want to show you how easy it is to basically convert your furnace into a plug-in appliance. What this does for us, it makes it so if there's a power outage, we can easily use a portable power station or even a generator to power critical appliances like our gas-powered furnace. Now, there are a few additional benefits to this. One, I'll show you how this helps us understand how much power the air handler actually consumes and estimate the amount of energy you would use per day. So if you do not have your portable power station or you do not have your generator, this type of information will help you size that correctly so you can add up all your critical appliances and make sure that whatever you're purchasing is going to fit your need. So let's go ahead and jump into it and start doing a little wiring. So there can be quite a few different wiring setups. So I'll try to go through a few different ones. I'm going to rewire my two furnaces here. Most likely you're just going to have to rewire one. And from the highest level, what we're doing, we're taking our circuit coming in, which is probably a 15 amp circuit. Instead of a light switch, which would be your means of disconnecting your furnace, we're gonna bring the power, the Romex, right into an outlet. That outlet is always gonna be powered on, and then we're gonna connect our cord up to our furnace. And that's where you get the plug-in functionality. So we will plug it into the outlet for normal operation. And then let's say we lose power, we can unplug that from our house's circuit and power that with a portable power station or a generator. Now, all my rewiring is gonna be done over here on the Decora light switches. Yours is most likely a handy box, a small metal box with a toggle switch located right on the side of your furnace. That's most likely what you have, so you'll be doing your rewiring right here at the handy box, and I'll go over a little bit more of that after I get my rewiring done over on my Decora light switches. Starting off any electrical project, go ahead and find your two breakers. 215 amps here will turn off the two circuits I'll be working on. Then I'll take off my face plate. Again, I have to do two different circuits. You're probably just dealing with one. And I'll check with my non-contact voltage testers to, again, ensure no power. Once I see that, I'll take a #1 square drive and remove the two mounting screws on each of the Decora switches, and then I'll just start to unwire everything. Now, I know this looks like a bit of a rat's nest right now, but we'll start to kind of section it off, and it'll make a lot more sense here in a minute as we install the outlet and then also wire in our plug for each of the two sides or each of the furnaces. So making sense of this, I have my two circuits coming in, right? So #1 and #2. I will be wiring in a 15 amp outlet, and this specifically is a Leviton lever edge. You can check a link in the description. No screw terminals. So it actually just straight in the back, and then you close the lever, and that secures your hot, your neutral, and your ground. It's very similar to my favorite wire connectors. This is a Wago lever nut. It's an inline splice, and that is what I'm going to use on this end. And these are the two pieces of Romex that are going over into the furnaces to power each one of the furnaces. So I'll be connecting up a plug inside the box. All connections should be inside the box, coming out the back of the box, and then you'll see this then allows us to plug into the outlet or to plug into an extension cord to be powered by a generator or a portable power station. So that is the advantage of having this type of disconnect, is it's very easy to connect up to an alternate power source when the power goes out. So we'll start off on the furnace side, and we're going to connect this Romex solid copper up to our power cords, which are stranded copper. Perfect application for inline splices here with the Wago lever nuts, which can take solid or stranded. Now, if you need a reference for the products and these supplies that we're using, just look in the link in the description, or if you're on your TV, you can just open your camera app, you can scan that QR code and it brings up the link that will bring the list over at Amazon of all the different products and tools we were using. So we'll tuck those back in, and now we have our two power cords. Now the length of your power cord is according to your application. I'm going very short because I know I need to use an extension cord. If you want kind of a built-in extension cord and then just zip tie up all that slack in normal operation, you can do that. Now these outlets are called Leviton lever edge. They're brand new, pretty much only at Home Depot, but will be at other suppliers soon. And it makes for quick work, and it's kind of like a lever nut built into an outlet. It's pretty handy. So now the wiring's done for my setup. Just remember, if you have a metal box like that handy box, make sure you're pigtailing a ground to ground out your box. Any metal box should be grounded. This is a plastic box, so we do not need the grounding pigtail to the overall electrical box. I'll go ahead and flip on the circuits. We'll plug things back in, but also I'll show you how do we actually quantify how much power the furnace takes up and then estimate the energy it would consume in a 24-hour period so you can start to right-size your system. Now this is kind of my first lines of defense where I'm just powering my critical appliances. Obviously, you can step things up from there, and kind of a full-fledged backup system might be panels on your home and also battery backup all integrated in. So if you want to start exploring those options, you can start off where I did with a link in the description, type in your information on your home, and within a matter of minutes, you can kind of size out that system, whether you want batteries or not, and roughly how much would that cost so you can start planning. And if that's something you want to dive deeper in, they can connect you up with installers in the area to get actual quotes on that system. Now, if you want to take that on yourself, which I did on a rental property last year, there's another link in the description where you can save quite a bit on labor cost, although it's going to be quite a bit more work if you're confident in your ability, and the company will help you get your engineering prints, send you all the materials you need, and help you through the process with some solid customer support just in case you have some questions along the way. All right, so let's plug things in and use the little power analyzer to start getting our numbers. So I have both of my furnaces plugged in, one going through the power analyzer. This is running about 4x speed, and it's just to start up my furnace. So this is the load from the inducer fan. And then we'll start checking the different pressure switches. If that's all good, your gas valve usually turns on, and then also your burners will light. Then once the burners are light, you'll get your blower fan to kick on, and that's gonna be your heavier load, and that's really gonna show you more when your furnace is running, what's it pulling. For me, it's right around 400 watts. So the home circuit is continuing to test so I can see how much energy consumption I'll have with one of my units. And now I'm also testing the other furnace, running that through an extension cord. This is a EcoFlow Delta 2. It's about a 1,000 watt hour battery and has about 1,800 watts out. So it has plenty of output because now it is running the furnace and we're pulling right around 400. I have some lights on this circuit as well, so that is taking up a little bit. Now, one thing to know on a lot of these power stations, you might need what's called a neutral to ground bonding plug. And let me show you what that is. It's pretty simple, but without it, depending on the age of your furnace, it might not kick on and run because it's looking for a bond between neutral and ground. So you can either buy them, you can just get one off of Amazon, super cheap. They're commonly needed for generators or portable power stations, or you can just make one. You can get yourself a plug that you'd wire into a cord, but instead of wiring to a cord, you're just going to take a piece of wire and go between neutral and ground. So we're bonding between neutral and ground, and then that is going to be exactly what you would buy on Amazon. Just you can wire it up yourself, and you can get these type of plugs from any Ace Hardware, any Home Depot, Lowe's, or any real home improvement store if you need it in a pinch to make sure that your furnace is going to be able to run with a portable power station or a generator. So that's all you have to do for the wiring to be prepared, both to have a disconnect for your furnace so you can service your furnace and do that safely without hitting your circuit breaker, but also easily be able to power that from an alternate power source. Now, taking that 0.7 kilowatt hours for one of my furnaces, I would have to use that and say that was a 2-hour period. Now, how many hours a day would I need to run my furnace to keep it in a reasonable range? Not in the 70 degrees Fahrenheit range, but in the 60s or at least upper 50s to make sure we're well above the freezing ranges where you could get in some issues with your plumbing. For me, I think 6 hours a day would be plenty. So that's looking at 0.7 times 3 or 2.1 kilowatt hours per furnace. That's what I'd need to start using to size up what are my other critical loads, and then overall, how much energy would I be consuming in a 24-hour period, and how many solar panels would I need to replenish that so we can make it through a multi-day power outage scenario, replenish during the day, burn those down at night, replenish during the day, and keep cycling over. So make sure you have a little buffer beyond all your critical loads, but this is a good way to start understanding those critical loads. Now, if you want to check out another way to power your home with a generator inlet, check out this video right here. We'll go through the application so you can see what your other options are. And it's kind of the step up from powering locally at each one of your appliances or each one of your loads. And then I'm actually going to exercise the system and put some solar panels on it to see what is the exact setup to keep my home running. So when that video comes out, you can check that video out right here, and that'll get you the complete application so you can use that for your own resiliency plan to make sure you have some plans in place if the power goes out. So thanks for joining me on this video, and we'll catch you on one of those next ones. Take care.